Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the French.Connection's Tuesday edition. Today's date, of course, is the 24th day of February 2009. My name is Al Bradford Smith again. Great to be back with you on this most important of broadcasts. I want to extend my heartfelt appreciation to the management of CII for standing beside me in a difficult time here with false attacks having been levied against my programming. You know, one of the things they did ask me to do on CII is to try to bring a few extra referencing to the facts that I share with you on this broadcast, and I will try to do that. But much of what has been stated on the French Connection can be found on my website. And that website is IamTheWitness.com, and I apologize to people with slow internet access. If their speed is very slow, it takes a while for my front page to add on their screen. And the problem with that is I don't have a fast connection here by first world standards, but by people out in the farthest reaches of Africa and areas like that, we still have slower connection speeds. So I'm trying to whittle down the size of the front page so you all can have access to the information more easily. But the documentation has been done, especially about the things around 9/11. We know that the involvement of Israel in that attack is beyond argument at this point. The airlines flew out of two cities principally during that whole thing, and both of them were being guarded by a company called Huntley International, which is the children of a founder of the Mossad from Israel. This founder's children started this company, Huntley International, and a subsidiary or filial of that company was the security at Logan's Boston International Airport as well as the Newark Airport. We also know that Mr. Frank Lowy involved out of Australia was involved in the purchase of the buildings along with Silverstein. We know the amount of information that has come out against Israel having been involved in this with the help of elements within Britain and elements within the American government itself are absolutely beyond argument at this point. And so much so that I don't spend a whole lot of time on that. I think we've already proven that one. Does it get mainstream play? Not like it should, of course. But the fact is 9/11 and 7/7 in London were both staged attacks, and they had nothing to do with Islam. They were not Muslims involved. You all will recall that many of the people blamed for the 9/11 attack were actually still alive, and so it was a fraud from the start. But other things that we discussed the other day about world Zionism and why would anybody support for such an organization in the face of the things that we know about this organization. And the fact is, Zionism is not Judaism, although the leaders of Zionism are Jewish. But it would be like saying that all Italians are bad because of what the La Cosa Nostra or the Italian mafia does. Of course, we know better than saying that all Italians are bad, and it would be ridiculous to make that statement. Would you be angry if somebody, basically, Zionism is a political movement or a geopolitical movement that has its support base in Christianity in the United States. Over the last 40 years, they've built a very powerful Zionist following in Christianity, sadly, for the rest of us. But we also see Zionist governments in the Middle East. We see Jordan is a Zionist-controlled government. We see Egypt a Zionist-controlled government. Up until recently, we saw that Turkey was completely Zionist-controlled, and they have been since the Caliphate was overthrown. We see that Morocco is a sympathetic government to Zionism. So, we know that this is a movement that has many players and many elements. And for me to tell you that every Jew is involved would be a bold-faced lie, and I've never made that statement. So be clear that we are looking for honest, good, righteous people from the Jewish community who don't want any part of it. Another thing that I said last week was that 40% of the Jewish community is not in support of Zionism. Well, that's not a misstatement. Out of the 16 million worldwide in the Jewish community, many people in the Jewish community have left their religion. They no longer go to synagogue, and they have married women outside of Judaism. In other words, men have married women who are not Jews, and vice versa. Women have married men who are not Jews. And they don't go to synagogue. They're not religious. And their numbers are growing. And in fact, there have been many, many articles written about the exodus from the Jewish religion because of things that people clearly found maybe objectionable or whatever in their faith. But also people not wanting to migrate and immigrate into Israel. You know, this mass migration that took place after the fall of the Soviet Union puffed up their numbers for a very long time, but that has certainly leveled off and now is no longer growing as they once had. And then, of course, there are organizations and groups across the world right now that are absolutely against what's been done in Palestine, and they are screaming at the top of their lungs, even in Israel. And the fact is, you can get better reporting on these people that don't want Zionism to be doing these crimes in Israel than you can in the United States. Why? Because, of course, the press in the United States and all the major networks are in the hands of this group. And that is also beyond argument. You can look that up in any place that you want to. Just type in American press controlled by Zionism, and you will find probably thousands of articles to read about this. You know, the top management, the main investors, all the anchor people, the people reporting the news, the people doing the CNN reports, and Christiane Amanpour, and all of the rest of them that have spun the lie machine. What's her name? Khan there. Anyway, this woman from CNN that did a hit piece on several people in the truth movement not 2 years ago. Paula Zahn, her name was. Another Zionist Jew that was working against the facts to come out. So, yes, there is proof and evidence for all of these accusations. They're not accusations, they are facts once you've looked at the evidence. So, I don't shoot from the hip here. The research has been done, and, you know, the research has also been done on the financial malaise that we're all suffering. You know, even the bad guys now, which they are responsible for the mess, they committed a mass larceny, a mass crime against the countries of the world by stealing from the public purse through puffing up credit markets and then imploding them as they have now. And what we see is financial failure is on our immediate horizon here. We know this is true. We know the people involved in it are clearly from the same camp that we have been describing for the longest time. And now we see a Rothschild agent starting to take over banks, or the management of banks here in France. No lies involved in this, ladies and gentlemen. And recently, AmericanFreePress.net, if you go to that website, Michael Collins Piper wrote an article about the 10 most powerful people in the Obama administration being Zionists, and that they work for Rothschild. And it's very clear. He puts them on here, named Peter Orsag, and Office of Management and Budget, and Peter Roos, and Lawrence Summers, and Ezekiel Emanuel, and, I mean, the list goes on. And, yes, all of these things are researchable. So when someone makes a statement that we don't have the, we're not making statements of fact, I beg to differ, and I will debate anybody on these facts anytime they wish, including the people we discussed last week, which I will make a comment about that. You know, the radio station, and me particularly being assaulted for the content of my programming here, was nothing more than an attempt to silence the truth. And the fact is that the radio station has had the good sense and the strength to say, wait a minute here, the things that Mr. Smith has been saying on this programming, as far as we can tell, are right on the money. And then I brought up the fact that why would anybody be supporting the kinds of killings that have gone on in Palestine? And in fact, the group that I focused on last week is supporting Israel's assault on Gaza and the Palestinians. That's a fact. Now, it would be a good idea, I think, for everybody to present this information to the press that is not controlled in your country or South Africa or the world, and say, wait a minute, how about let's take a look at how the people feel about this. And I will guarantee that they will support my message. I guarantee it. And they will not only support it in 51%, they'll support it in mass, in the 80-90% range. I guarantee that. But they don't want to argue about facts here. They want to make false statements about me being anti-Semitic, which is the old canard, ladies and gentlemen, that people have been getting basted with liberally over the last 50 years. And the simple truth is it's not.